Hey peeps, it's Angela, and today I want to show you how I made these simple Valentine earrings that feature the birthstones for my two sons. The heart bezels are part of the Lots of Love heart bundle from tinypandora.com, and of course the rhinestones are the rhinestone nirvanas, also from tinypandora.com. You'll need a few other supplies listed here. I wanted to do was make my medallions, and I did that using the black liquid clay and the medallion mold from Sculpey, and I did cast it twice. I'm using gold here just to show you what the mold looked like because the camera picked it up a little bit easier than the black, so I am using black ones in the example. Using the bezels as an outline, I'm going to decide what part of the medallion I want to use and then use a craft knife to cut that out and then come back and use scissors to do any cleanup. I'm going to nip off the little piece of medallion that is behind the connection where the ear wire will attach. Now I'm going to use a very thin layer of Bacon Bond or liquid clay. I just want enough on it that it gives it a little sheen, so I know that there's a liquid connection. And then I'm going to place them on my background color, which is on my thickest setting on my pasta machine, and use my Snakes and Swirls tool to push the bezels all the way down into the clay. Then I'm going to come back in with my craft knife and cut the clay away from it and do any cleanup that needs to be done. A layer of clay on my thickest setting, and then doubling that, I'm going to countersink the rhinestones down into the clay. Once they're completely pushed through, I'll push the clay back up around the rhinestone just to let it come back over the top edge to form a mechanical bond. I'll spend some time in making sure that these are at the same level in the clay and that the clay that I'm pushing back over the edge is even and that the rhinestone stays centered. And then once I'm happy with that, I will use the 1/2-inch cutter and cut these out. If you're not using 10mm stones, then you'll want to use a different sized cutter. Just have a cutter that's 1 millimeter or 2 larger than the rhinestone that you're using, and that will allow you to cut down and encase it. Take your time and look at it from different angles when you're centering your cut, and then push it all the way through. And the clay will fully encase your rhinestone on the bottom, and that's what I'm looking for. I like to use this type of method of encasing the rhinestone with polymer clay, and then I can just remove the appropriate size hole in the medallion earring portion that we've already made and slide these right back in. So now I'm going to use the same cutter. I'm going to decide what part of my medallion I'm going to cut out, and I'm going to just make a hole, punch a hole through it, and remove that portion. And then the rhinestone that I've encased with the clay just slides right in, and then just work it a little bit. I like to go ahead and put it on the backing at this point that I'm going to use for the texture, and just use that as a pressure from the bottom where I'm pushing it from the top to keep everything nice and neat. I find it's helpful to give a nice texture if I use an aquarium sponge, and that's just helping me make sure that I join the two clays together and that they have a good mechanical connection, and it adds a little bit of texture to the top of the clay. I'm going to do the same thing for the other earring. One thing you might have noticed is that when I work with the rhinestones, I'm using a double layer on my thickest setting, and the base of the earring is made with a sheet of clay on the thickest setting and a layer of the medallion, which is probably comparable to a 3 on my pasta machine. So it's going to be a little bit thicker, but the process of countersinking the rhinestones gets rid of any height discrepancies, and when it's time to seat the rhinestone into the earring, you won't notice any difference. If you did have a little bit of a lip, that's okay. It just gives a bezeled edge for your rhinestone, and the texturing will help blend all that away. I cured my earrings for 1 hour and then added my earring findings to them. I hope you've enjoyed this, peeps. Bye for now.